All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Me here, talking about real music in real time for a couple of real people out there just like you, just like me. A quick shout out and thank you to all the patrons and YouTube members. I've determined this week that without you guys, I wouldn't be able to keep doing this. It's becoming clear from a financial standpoint that my income is not going to recover. We're going on 11 months of this technically. I had a little reprieve when the Eric Clapton video went out there, but since then, things have kind of returned back to the way they were. So, again, I want to thank the patrons, $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever you guys are doing out there. Some are doing far more than that, and they're the ones kind of like lifting my arms up here. Was it Aaron lifting up the arms of Moses? All right, but I'm not Moses. I'm just some dude that talks about music each day. Here's some music for you. Ghost Hounds and their album First Last Time. This is really good. It's kind of going viral in a few places, so check this out. It's really like nothing else you've heard. There are many different styles blended together here. That's what the inside and the back cover looks like. Anyway, I got the hard copy CD here. That's very unusual. So again, check out Ghost Hounds. I don't think you're going to be disappointed in it. May not be in your wheelhouse musically. You know what else isn't in my wheelhouse musically is the band Disturbed. I haven't spoken too much about Disturbed. However, their lead singer, frontman, David Draymond, is saying some things that I agree with. So I'm going to be talking about him in this video. Again, if this isn't in your musical wheelhouse, I understand, but this is more about what's going on in the world of rock and roll today. And I watched this great video yesterday on this platform called the High Wire. You may have heard of the High Wire with Del Bigtree, the great Del Bigtree. He had 5 rock stars that were kicked out of bands because they refused to do the thing. They refused to go to CVS. And all these protocols rolled out. And I know one of the guys, the guy from The Offspring, he had a history of reactions from these wonderful, safe, and effective medical products. He, throughout his life, even before this particular one rolled out onto the scene, he was telling Del about how he asked, he begged, he said, hey, I have reactions to these things. See, this is what was different about this compared to before. Because in the old days, you could just get an exemption and people would be like, okay, that's your choice, good. But now they're saying you're selfish and you want to kill grandma and all this stuff. And none of that panned out. None of that was true. None of the reports, none of the peer-reviewed studies I've read match those two things up. In fact, the countries that rolled this out heavily had a much greater mortality rate overall. All right. And you really can't get around statistics. What they do, though, is they just don't report statistics that go against what they're telling you to do. So anyway, getting back to David Draymond, he says that the current rock scene is pathetic. Now, this relates to what I just was talking about with Del Bigtree and this new band, by the way. These guys that Del was interviewing, they started this new band called The Defiant because they are the defiant few. During the interview with Draymond, who I guess spoke to a fairly popular publication, the rocker shared his thoughts on the rock and metal community and the need for unity, both among fans and among musicians. But he says that the whole scene is pathetic. The rocker explained what others were trying to achieve with their message and shared his thoughts on them. He says, there are so many people trying to push a very, very different kind of message in front of their respective podiums and preaching to their respective choirs. He says, it's a shame what we've become. Yeah, and let me stop here. There is this very toxic level of groupthink. Now, I've explored all sides of this, all right? And one of the reasons I don't really catch on with certain people is because sometimes I'm a contrarian. You tell me that everybody says this, and I'm going to be like, okay, why is everybody saying that? And when it comes to, say, the Israel-Palestine conflict, right? There's a certain way that you have to think about this. And then there's another certain way that you have to think about this. There couldn't be any nuance in there. There couldn't be, maybe there are problems with both sides of this argument, not just to be diplomatic, but to look at everything and say, yeah, these guys, maybe they brought this upon themselves, but then these other people are acting in a very barbaric sort of way, and you look at both together and it's a mess, and some of us just want to, walk away, just unplug. No, it's not my dog and pony show. I care, but the issue is I can't just think like one side and buy into everything that one side is saying all the time. There may be more truth on one side of the argument than the other, but you have to be discerning and not just get spoon-fed information from your side. And that's what David Draymond here is saying. He goes on to talk about not only the music community, but the general human communication has been restricted by conflicts and incidents over the last few years, including COVID, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and more. According to Draymond, the incidents made people not communicate and not have conversations. He said it got a lot crazier, especially he says it was already really bad. And it got worse during the pandemic. The divisive nature, the hyper-polarization, hyper-partisanship. Nobody wants to have a dialogue anymore. Nobody wants to have a civil conversation anymore. They just want to meet and speak with each other, people who think exactly like they already do. He says it's useless. So I agree with him wholeheartedly there. So David Draymond, who has come under fire recently because he's come out in support of Israel. Now, you may not support Israel. David Draymond, I believe, has Jewish lineage and obviously ancestry that dates back a long way, and he's always been very patriotic in that sense with his motherland. And other people are just unhinged when you say, I support this side or I support the other side. It's tough to see both sides to an argument. And I think if we did more of seeing both sides of an argument, we may agree with each other more, and we may find more common ground, and we may even come up with solutions to these problems. As far as the band Disturbed goes, again, it's really not my wheelhouse musically speaking. I do appreciate the depth of the lyrics and just the exploration of the human condition that Draymond pursues in his lyrics. Musically, though, it's very dark, and music needs a little light, needs a little bit of sunshine, just like the varying opinions in politics or culture. There needs to be a variety when it comes to music as well. That's my humble opinion, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, and I'll continue to be wrong off and on. Sometimes I'm right, though, about stuff, every so often, So you take the good with the bad. You get my perspective, and then you go watch somebody else, and they'll give you their perspective. And then you, as a fully autonomous human being, somebody who is self-driving, right? Like those cars you see now. Um, you can discern for yourself and try to put 2 and 2 together and see if you don't get 4, instead of 5, which is what they're telling you it adds up to now. Ghost Towns, one more time. I've been promoting this a lot. It's quality music. It's not like anything you've heard before. It's very organic, and it mixes many different styles, some would say even genres together. It's good stuff. Go check out Ghost Towns. It's kind of going viral here on YouTube. And don't forget to check out that interview with Bigtree. I'm going to try to post a link to it. I'm not sure where to find that link, but if and when I do, because he's not on YouTube, because I'm pretty sure he got banned off of YouTube during the Thingdemic, because he, again, was providing different information not approved by the overseers here, which is a shame, but it's true. But he's talking to these guys from different bands, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones and The Offspring, and again, stuff that's not really in my wheelhouse, but it was fascinating to listen to these guys talk about how, their whole rock and roll rebellion thing is kind of over, right? It's just, I was saying that in 2020 and 2021, I'm like, what happened to the rebellious nature of rock and roll? It's just over. It's done. So yeah, I'll try to find the link and put it in the description of this video. And also, folks, don't forget to check out Modern Retro Radio, modernretrofm.com. They're playing all kinds of music that you won't hear anywhere else. My good buddy Audie over there just doing really the Lord's work when it comes to, paying homage to some of the great artists that we grew up listening to. But when one of those people comes out with new material, it just goes down the memory hole and you don't get to hear it on the radio. But if you tune in to Modern Retro, you will hear it on the radio. It's pretty fascinating how they do that. All right, people, God bless everyone. Please pray for peace in the Middle East. Please pray for peace. I think peace, that is really the best thing that you can do at this stage.